What's up guys, my name is Ace, and this week's weekly challenge reward in Black Ops 7 is the Auto Strike XA conversion barrel for the M8A1, and this barrel converts the gun from a 4-round burst into full auto. And today we're going to be diving deep into the stats of this to see exactly what it does, how it works, how good it is, and toward the end I'm going to be sharing a couple excellent attachment combinations I'd highly recommend trying out with this new conversion kit. And diving right in, let's start off with the basics of this kit. This is of course in the barrel category, and with it, not only does it convert it to full auto, it also improves our fire rate, as well as our aim down sight, sprint to fire time, and it also improves our recoil values. However, this does come at the cost of damage and damage range, hip fire spread, aim walking speed, and bullet velocity. So lots of pros, lots of cons. Let's dive deeper and have a look at our range, time to kill, rate of fire comparison here. With this, we get an extremely fast rate of fire value at 1,000 rounds per minute, although our velocity is cut down to 680 meters per second. And instead of this being a 4 to 5 shot kill like it is without this kit, it's now going to be a 6 to 9 shot kill. So it will take quite a few shots to kill. And what this means for our time to kill potential is with that 6 shot kill up close, we're killing in 300 milliseconds, which isn't an amazing time to kill by any means in this game. It's not horrible, it's not unusable, it's just not what I would call a very good time to kill. Now, one nice thing about this, and a redeeming quality, is the fact that you just need to mix one headshot in the first 3 damage ranges in order to reduce the number of shots to kill. And that means, up close, if you get that 5-shot kill by mixing a single headshot in, now you're killing in 240 milliseconds, and that is a very competitive time to kill in this game. That's going to be beating even a lot of SMGs right up close. Now, at the end of the day, that's still not going to be killing as fast as the base M8A1, which kills in 201 milliseconds, but that's only if you get a 1-burst kill, and therefore the base M8 can be fairly unforgiving, especially relative to something like this, where if you'd miss a bullet or two, it's not going to make your time to kill skyrocket or anything. And as a result, I would say if you're grinding camos on this and you haven't done headshots yet, definitely use this full auto mod for your headshots. But after that, I'm sure many are curious, what about combining this with rapid fire, since that's something you can do? Well, in this case, you get a rate of fire of 1,011 rounds per minute. So we can now get a 6-shot kill at 270 milliseconds, which is a lot more competitive by default, and that's without even mixing the headshot in. If you also mix a headshot in at that point, we're getting a time to kill at 216 milliseconds, which is insanely fast. Now, in saying that, if you use rapid fire, it will reduce your range and velocity values by 10%, so you lose a little bit there. And also, it does spike our recoil up quite a bit, so there are some clear trade-offs there. In either case, that pretty much wraps it up for the raw power of this. Next, for our handling improvements, we actually see some really nice improvements here. Our aim down sight time is just 275 milliseconds, down from 310, and our sprint out time is 195 milliseconds, down from 220. So both of those are very notable improvements. However, we do see that reduction to our aim walking speed. It goes from 2.9 meters per second down to 2.6 meters per second. So you're not going to be strafing really fast in a gunfight with this. Now, on top of that, I thought I'd just take a quick look at hardcore game modes, and I basically just wanted to point out here, if you use this conversion kit, it's now going to be a 2-shot kill at any range to the body. So while of course it's still usable in hardcore, it's not really ideal for hardcore game modes. And now let's take a look at recoil, since this is quite important, and as you can see, it's got a very consistent recoil pattern. It kicks up with a very, very slight lean to the left initially, and then after about 10 to 12 shots fired, it will cut really hard to the right. And it becomes almost all horizontal recoil at that point. Now, realistically, you should be getting your kill before it starts kicking hard to the right on you. And if you just consider the first half of that recoil plot, it's actually a very accurate gun considering how high the fire rate is. Based on my experience with this, I actually consider this to be a very, very accurate gun, at least with the setup that I'll be sharing here in a little bit. However, before we do that, I did also want to point out our hip fire spread values are increased by 10%, so that is a nerf to our hip spread. However, I would consider it to be more useful in hip fire than the burst version of the gun, even with that higher spread, because we have an insanely high fire rate and no burst delay to worry about. And with all of that out of the way, let's have a look at a couple really nice class setups I like using with this kit. The first one is just my standard full auto stealth build with the M8. And with this, we have the Recoil suppressor, so I can stay off the radar, and I get a bit of an improvement to my recoil values. We obviously have the conversion barrel itself. We have the G7 launch grip, which is going to be helping with primarily vertical recoil. It may seem a little counterintuitive, and like you might want to go in the direction of horizontal recoil, but since you're generally going to be getting your kill within the first half of the magazine fired, where horizontal recoil is not really a factor, vertical recoil becomes more important. So that's why I went with that one. I'm also using the gridlock stock on this, and the reason behind this is the M8 is pretty bad in the flinch area when you compare it to like assault rifles or SMGs, and this stock will help cut that down very drastically, so that's quite important, and it also counteracts the aim walking speed reduction we see with this conversion kit. And then finally, I'm just topping it off with buffer springs so we can get even more accuracy out of this. And as you can see here, it is insanely accurate. Again, especially if you're getting your kill within the first half of the magazine or so. There is barely any recoil. This is a laser beam. I also love the iron sights on this, and I would highly recommend giving this setup a shot. I think a lot of you guys are really going to enjoy it. However, I do have another one I wanted to share, and that is a tac stance build, because if you remember, the prestige attachment on the M8 is designed largely around tac stance spread. And while I didn't really like using it in the burst mode, it's amazing when paired with this conversion barrel, especially when you combine it with the muzzle that helps with tac stance, the Titan R muzzle. We of course have the tactical laser itself, so we can use tac stance to begin with. And then finally, I'm actually topping this off with rapid fire, just so we can get that nice, consistent 270 millisecond time to kill. With this, we get an insanely tight tactical stance spread, so you can stretch your range out quite effectively with that while in tac stance. We've also got improved handling stats across the board here. And honestly, this is one of my new favorite tactical stance setups in the entire game right now. That really fast fire rate, combined with the super tight tac stance spread, is hard to beat when creating a tac stance build. So that's another one where if you haven't given it a shot yet, definitely give it a go. I think you'll be very impressed with it. And there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's breakdown on this full auto conversion kit for the M8. And when it comes to my thoughts on this, initially when I was looking at like the time to kill values on paper, I really didn't think I'd like this all that much. I thought it would just be a whatever sort of addition, and I probably wouldn't really touch it beyond just trying it out initially. But honestly, after using it, I've found a lot of success with this. And I think maybe it's because it has a great headshot potential, combined with the fact that it's insanely accurate with a really high fire rate, as long as you're not holding that trigger down for more than half a magazine. And with all of that combined, I just think this feels great in my hands, and I really enjoy using it, and I absolutely plan on using this going forward as well, because it's just really fun and interesting to use. And none of that is even mentioning how good this is in tac stance. If I'm looking for a tac stance build, this is very high up on my list now, and I'm definitely going to be breaking that build out from time to time for a change of pace. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts on this conversion kit, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it in those comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.